Hello, and welcome to the Media Copilot. It's a podcast and newsletter all about how generative AI is changing the media, journalism, and the news. I'm Pete Paschal, and on this podcast, I'm excited to bring you fascinating conversations with fellow journalists, media executives, and the people helping build AI-driven newsrooms of the future. So it's time for something a little different this week. Earlier this summer, I had the privilege of speaking at Crypto Mondays in Westhampton, New York. I was there to talk about AI, not crypto, and it was a sophisticated crowd, but they were new to AI. So I talked about some of those infamous cases where the media got out over its skis on AI-written articles, and how those incidents might fuel negative bias against AI. But to leave on a high note, I also gave some practical advice on getting ChatGPT to sound more human when it responds to you, maybe even write a little bit like you. Anyway, I thought it was helpful at framing how to think about AI if you're just starting your journey with it. I hope you enjoy the talk. All right, now for something completely different. Hey, everybody. I'm Pete, as they mentioned, and I got a provocative question here. I hope it's a little bit provocative. Might have been a few too many words there, but before we get into this question and how I want to sort of back into it, a little bit of background might help. So I've been a journalist for 20 plus years. I have been on content teams from companies like Mashable and CoinDesk and a number of others. I got a few of them there. Some of them are pretty good. Right now I do the Media Copilot. That's a newsletter that I put out daily on the intersection of AI and media. And in addition to putting out that newsletter, we also have a podcast. I also teach classes on AI to content creators, so journalists, PR people, marketers, and I do some consulting as well. So it's all about how AI and media intersect. Fascinates me, obviously, as a media guy for the past 20 years, and also a little bit of self-preservation there, if I am being completely honest. So speaking of writing, though, I have a question for you guys. Hopefully make this a little bit interactive. Who's used ChatGPT to write something for you? Show of hands, come on, let's all be honest. Who's used it? Okay, now, lower your hand. Hold on, keep your hands up, Everybody, you got it, you too. Keep it up. Now lower your hand if you thought it was kind of not that great. There we go. All right, well, we got a couple people who have fans of ChatGPT, but I think the people who lowered their hands are pretty much what I think most people's experience is, right? You get ChatGPT to write something for you, and after you get past sort of the mind-blowing emojis that are appearing over your head, that this thing's actually writing prose that actually makes sense, you start to sort of see that it uses language in a way that humans don't really. It uses words like revolutionizing a lot and delve and certain diction that just gets really predictable. I sort of call this a graying effect on text that ChatGPT tends to do. And it's actually common of a lot of AIs. Now they're getting better, to be clear, but it does kind of sound like you're talking to a robot. And I think for most folks, what they do is they sort of get this impression of AI and what it can do for them in terms of writing, and they tend to go like, oh yeah, that was interesting, I might try it again sometime, but then they sort of don't. And actually, I don't need a show of hands on this because that's what the stats say. So ChatGPT usage has essentially leveled off since about early last year. Now, this is a little bit out of date. That might be changing with the latest model, with 4.0, if you know the models of ChatGPT. But generally, this has been people's experience with ChatGPT, I would say. So what this, I think, has done is added to a certain negative bias around AI. Now, it's not like we were big fans of robot writing before, but now with this sort of gray effect on text that ChatGPT spits out, people are really starting to equate written by AI with low quality, right? It's generally associated with laziness. You talk about, college kids who are trying to get ChatGPT to essentially write essays for them. There's a whole sub-industry now of AI detection. There's a lot of these services, and they're generally being used to kind of weed out AI content And part of that is sort of the work ethic and the teaching, but also part of it is simply the quality. Okay, is anyone familiar? Do you guys understand what the uncanny valley is? Anyone know what that is? So the uncanny valley is a concept in robotics, actually, where if a robot like C-3PO that kind of doesn't quite look human, it looks kind of robotic, it's cool and you think it's cute, and R2-D2 sort of falls into this. But once you get robots to start to look human and really, really close, people get very creeped out by them. So you see a curve of your attitude toward it that takes a sudden dip as soon as it gets closer to human, because we start to notice the differences more than we notice the similarities. And this is sort of a similar concept to what I think is happening with AI writing. It's getting close to what humans can do, but now that we're sort of seeing that it's not quite human writing, we're really seeing those differences. And they're giving us sort of a recoiling effect from AI, and leading to more negative bias. So here's a question. What if a news site used AI to write articles, given what I've just been talking about? How do you think that would go? Sorry? Oh, it's already happening. No, you've seen my slides in advance. Now you guys are savvy. You know this has happened.
No, he's an editor.
Sorry.
Mark's an editor.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Yes.
I didn't see your hand go up with the ChatGPT thing. Not so much? Okay. Well, here's how, there's a study here actually that was put out late last year. And before I even get into the examples, this looked at what the reaction was from readers when sites disclosed, these were fake sites, but it was a study, they disclosed that AI was used in the writing of the articles. And it's actually a really nuanced study. I've actually linked it in the slides. And by the way, if you like these slides, I'm making them available to you at the end of the presentation, so watch for the QR code. But this was the general conclusion. News labeled as generated by AI, generally perceived as less trustworthy. Surprise, surprise. Do you think that stopped news sites from doing this? No. So I've got some examples for you. So this one's MSN. So as you can see, they published some AI written articles, and one of them called a former NBA player useless in his obituary. Another one recommended visiting a food bank as a tourist attraction. This doesn't seem like good journalism, in my view, as a journalist of 20 years. So I've looked at these case studies and sort of looked at what the real problems are in them. Because there's a little more nuance than just the AI wrote it, don't do that. These guys were actually publishing raw AI content right out of the chatbot, essentially, and totally unchecked. It was essentially getting published and thrown up. And thinking, and thrown up is probably a good a good phrasing here. That's obviously a serious problem, and they stopped. All right, here's another example. So this is if you're familiar with CNET, it's a technology site. It's expanded into other areas as well, like personal finance. And they do a lot of reviews, they do a lot of recommendations, and they try to scale up their content by getting a chatbot, essentially, to write articles for them, mostly how-tos, like how to balance your budget, how to turn on or set up a smart light bulb. And they actually did have editors checking them. So they didn't just publish the totally unchecked content. So they're a little better than MSN here. But as you can see, there's an article from the Washington Post, still a disaster. Now why? They had the wrong people checking them. They weren't subject matter experts. They were basically junior editors checking for proofreading for grammar, proofreading for logic, but they couldn't check the facts. So they stopped doing it. Okay, this one was fairly recent. Well, not that recent, about 6 months ago. So Sports Illustrated, there's actually a lot of nuance to this. I'm really simplifying this one. But a third party, a syndication partner essentially, was giving the site content. They were publishing it, and it turned out those articles were probably AI generated, but they were certainly put under fake AI bylines. And they stopped doing it. But the lesson on this one, because this was a team separate from the editorial team, this was like the partnerships team and the syndication team, this was really a problem of not having any kind of AI policy in place. The people over in the business side and the syndication side, and even though the editorial team wasn't using AI, because there wasn't a organization-wide policy, there was a lot of mistranslation. Now, there was a little deception from the third-party partner as well. There's a lot of nuance to this story, but having an AI policy might have caught this problem before it became a disaster. All right, so that's some rough stuff. That's some rough stuff for AI writing. I think it's probably invalidating a little bit of that question in your minds that I posed at the very beginning. But I'm giving you this one now. Given all that, given all those examples and the fact that they were, the conclusions that we had that they were publishing raw content, they didn't have subject matter experts, didn't have AI policies, is there a way that AI writing could be good, could or at least be acceptable to publish? Anyone have any ideas on what you might do? Gentleman in the back.
Can it be good? Yes.
Yeah, but what are some ideas on how it could be good, in contrast to the examples?
It just, I think it needs a little, my experience with AI, which is very limited because I'm still learning and learning to trust it, especially as an artist, so to speak, and a creative. But the few times that I have used it, I do go back, read everything, rather than, and then humanize it a little and go back to it and say, can we be more empathetic?
Yeah.
Can we be more passionate?
I got you.
Can we be more, so it's hinting it and teaching it to, I don't want to say humanize it or romanticize it a little bit more.
I love that, because it's not just human oversight, it's kind of like getting into a back and forth with the AI. You're getting, you're working together. Oh, gentleman right here.
So you people only know some more, I'll say right to start a conversation. So I work in the AI space and I use models quite extensively. I would say part of it is part of the Jim Clark chat thing. To me, you turn on, then it's like a little bit about being specific about what you're asking, and like the prompts that you can give it in an engine, you can be very clear about what you want the outcomes to be, how you want to speak. Most people, when you think about it, sorry, I don't want to get too deep onto it, just to say, it's really about setting the context for the question, I think, in order to get back to better results.
I like that. Better prompting to play to the AI's strengths, I think is how I would summarize that. That's really good. Anything else? Yeah.
Use prompting to make it speak in a voice that would be similar to the way I would come across with what I'm writing.
I love that. This is, you guys, I think you guys peeked at my slides. I'm serious. Yeah, exactly. Getting, and maybe even training it to do that. Yeah. Yeah, and it sounds hard, right? Because we associate training with hard, but I've got some.
You have to input a lot of dialogue, and then I bring in things from other places, and it's a lot of work to get
it can be.
Write it, but then it comes across with some beautiful.
You probably need less than you think, though. By the way, I don't know if everyone can hear, but she was talking about doing a lot of training the AI with a lot of input and stuff. So those are all good. I don't want to keep people here too long, so I think there's other people with hands up, but I think, and I actually forgot to hit my thing because this is the question I was posing to you guys. I'm going to go to an example of how a good example, which incorporates a lot of everything that you were saying, into an AI usage in the media. And again, this is AI for content creation, right? This isn't just in the background. But what this is doing, you guys, anyone familiar with the site Semaphore? So it's a news site, it's a global news site, it's relatively new, it's founded by actually Ben Smith, and he used to, he was one of the founders of BuzzFeed. It's really thoughtful, it covers the media, it covers a lot of things, but they're also being very innovative with AI. So they have a product, essentially a type of article that they do, that's called Semaphore Signals. And what this is, it uses AI to do a number of things. One, it looks at the internet, the entire internet, not just the English-speaking internet, and finds articles on topics, summarizes them for the reporter who's covering a specific beat, And then that reporter will take those summaries, combine it with their subject matter expertise and their own writing to produce something that they otherwise couldn't have in the same amount of time. A big part of it is the translation, but also it is just doing a lot of that work for them, finding stuff that's relevant to their beat, again, giving it the right context with the right prompting, playing to the AI's strengths, and then ensuring that the reporter is in total control of the situation. It isn't just sliding things in, but also writing so that their insights are given equal, if not more prominence than what the AI has thought of. So that's one of the things that's allowing Semaphore to write a lot more articles with a lot fewer reporters. Yeah, it seems like you have something to say.
The problem that I see, and I know nothing about it, is you read something and it's like there's Ukraine, and no one really knows what's going on in Ukraine. And there's all these articles, the Russians blew up so many tanks, and the Ukrainians blew up 10 times as many, and the Russians are losing. Who knows whether any of these stories are true?
Right. That's a problem, not necessarily an AI problem. Yeah, I hear you.
The BBC has not verified or confirmed any of the information from the ERN. So no one believes any of this stuff. So
That's partly a societal problem. I think there are ways AI can address some of that, which is to say the signals that certain articles are saying about unverified sources, if they're reliable, that can be interpreted and consolidated by an AI. Again, it's not going to solve the entire problem, but it can at least give you a better picture of what might be true and what might not. But there's a lot of the need for human boots on the ground to solve that problem, and sometimes it's just impossible in a war zone. Okay, so like I say, I've actually just done the summary. One of the things here, again, I think the AI role being really limited and really being overseen by a human in this process is the key part, really. And I just want to come back to the original question, can the writing ever be good as a human? That's obviously the wrong question, because it's really like the question we should always ask when we're asking an AI to create something for us is, how can it assist the human, not do it for me? And that is, if there's nothing else you take from this talk, I just want to assert that this AI is an assistive technology in content creation right now. It's not a replacement. Now, does that mean everyone's job is safe? Not necessarily, but to get the best work out of an AI, particularly for text creation at this point in time, there needs to be a human AI cooperation. It's an assistive technology. So that's the bulk of what I wanted to talk about, but I also wanted to leave you guys with a little bit of something you can take away for yourselves, a little bit of a practical tip on how to use ChatGPT. So I'm going to do this live. I like doing AI demos live. I do it all the time in classes, and one of the fun things about it is that because I'm doing AI, and AI is generative, I quite never know what I'm going to get. Sometimes these things don't really work as well as I thought. So maybe Sherry or Julie, could one of you hold the microphone while I do some typing here? And I'll do this. This is going to take literally like a minute or two. 1 second. Okay.
We're okay. You guys okay?
Okay. So I've got ChatGPT, and so you see that? That's awesome. And I'm going to show you real quick what it sounds like now. So I've this is raw ChatGPT. I'm going to ask it to write not an article, a paragraph. An article would be too long. So I'm asking it to write a paragraph about the Tesla Cybertruck. Now check this out. Oh, I should have got my glasses. So it's awesome how fast it is, but look at that. The first sentence, revolutionary. Come on, ChatGPT, come on. What are you doing? That's not good writing. So how about...
We're a full service event operation.
Oh, wow, that's much better. Thank you very much. That is great. And wait a minute. Okay, here's a good prompt. And I'm going to ask ChatGPT essentially I'm actually going to start another chat for this. And I'll come back to this one, don't worry. Now, I'm going to read the prompt. Can you guys see this, by the way?
Yes.
Let me zoom it in a bit. All right, I'm telling it, you're an expert ghostwriter, superb at capturing any person's specific voice. Below is an article written by your client. Create a summary that describes key characteristics of the person's voice. And I thought I had that ready, but I can always call it up. Hold on one second. I have it down here. Sorry, guys. There it is. Here's the article I wanted. And I'm going to do a quick delineator because I like that. All right, I just pasted in a whole article I wrote, just one thing I wrote. And I'm going to ask it to tell, so basically I'm asking it to tell me what my writing style is. So here it is. Blah, 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 blah. You flatter me, ChatGPT. This is great, okay, it's all there. I'm just going to copy that. Actually, no, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to say this. Please remember that. Okay. Now, I'm going to go, where was I? Where's my other window? Oh, no, it's over here, of course. I'm going to go back to my Cybertruck. And I'm going to say, rewrite that. This is faster with 2 hands. In PP style. Okay.
I'm going to hold it so you can type with 2 hands if you know how.
No, it's all good. I'm done. That's it. Okay, so it's hard to tell, and I should probably shrink the text again so you can sort of see it side by side. I'm actually going to expand the window. But I would say that's a much better piece of writing. And it took me, what, minute and a half, 2 minutes with the glasses technical problem. So that is a quick way to fine-tune your AI so that it writes closer to yourself. And the more writing you give it, the better it'll be. And it uses a feature called memory on ChatGPT. And it's an underutilized feature in my opinion. So check that out. And again, I can make these slides available. I will as soon as I get back to the presentation. I can switch windows real quick here. Back there. There we go. Thank you.